Thank you guys for coming out. I know it may be extra credit for most of you, but it's okay. I don't take it personal. This series is such a great, I was telling Harry earlier, gosh, it's so nice to be in Pasadena. What a smart city it is up here. This idea of having an arts and ideas festival for the city is pretty cool. And the theme is skin, so I'm going to address my comments to that particular theme. I'll read first from this book. This is my last book. I have a novel that's just about done now, but this book is called Raising Fences, and it really is a book inspired by the blues. There's a famous album. You guys ever heard of Miles Davis in here? Sure, you guys probably pretty smart, jazz literate. He has his most famous album is called Kind of Blue, and it's a modal. It's really a blues album, although it's a jazz album. It's a modal blues album, essentially. And this particular album is such an emotion kind of giving piece of music. And what's great about Miles Davis is that he was able to not just play a series of great notes, but also he knew when just to be quiet and let the notes between the notes, or the silence between the notes, also play. And what's intriguing about the blues is its connection to hip-hop. Any hip-hop fans? Can you guys spell hip-hop in this class? Anyone? Okay, a few people are into hip-hop. You know, the blues, when it first came on the scene, really in the 1920s, in terms of being a popular kind of music, it was the stories of Southern, for the most part, black men, you know, telling their hardship stories, hard luck stories about working, you know, about working the fields, about working the railroads, about being left by their women in their lives, their girlfriends, their wives, just drama, you know, kind of the black underclass of the South made the blues really popular, right? And as you guys may not know, the blues music is really the core, the foundation of many of the famous rock groups of our history in music. You've heard of the Rolling Stones, maybe the Byrds, maybe the Beatles. I mean, pick a famous rock guitarist, and he knows a little bit something about the blues. And then hip hop, ironically, is another manifestation of black men, but from urban centers. You know, hip hop had its origins in the Bronx with young black men talking about, in the early days, about kind of party music, just kind of getting together and having a good time. But as it began to develop in the early, really in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, you got a lot more social consciousness. You know, black men talking about the experience of carrying around black skin in America. And then at a certain point, on the West Coast, a guy named Eazy-E. There used to be a club, you guys, in Compton called Dootos, D-O-O-T-O-S. And there was a group called the World Class Wrecking Crew. This guy named Lonzo was a bassist. He kind of ran the group. And then this drug dealer named Eric Wright took over the group. Well, that early band had a guy named Dr. Dre, the Arabian Prince, a guy named Clientele. And that seminal group kind of morphed into a band called NWA. You guys ever heard of that band, NWA? Yes, if you guys have, which really set kind of gangster rap for good and for bad on the map, all right? And so those tales began to really get very popular. Urban men talking about what it's like to be black in urban environments, as opposed to the blues, which really was about kind of the South and the Southern approach to living. Hip-hop, gangster rap in particular, was really about black urban life in the street, just hardcore. And then at a certain point, guys were just making stuff up as well. You know, I once heard a comedian say, if you were to tally every person killed in a gangster rap album, we'd all be dead. You know, so someone's lying, and it's a gangster rap. But in the early days, I thought many of it seemed to be kind of based on more reality than today. So this also is a blues story of sorts, because everyone has had. Anyone ever have a hardship in this class? Anyone ever? You know, hardship is just universal. And the thing about hardship is that everyone has experience with hardship, whether it's a broken heart, whether it's just you lose a job or you can't get what you want in life, you're getting the blues, you get a little bit down, a little bit sad, all right? And so, you know, that connects the human being in the circle of life, so to speak. So we can all relate to that, which is why the blues music, which is why hip hop, for example, is so unbelievably popular across ethnic lines. You know, LA is a very, in terms of race, in terms of skin, is a very divided place in terms of race. I mean, it's very segregated here in LA. You've got your black part of town, you've got your Asian, your Korean part of town, you've got your Japanese part of town, you've got your Chinese part of town, you've got your white part of town. It's unbelievable how LA, for a non-southern city, has that type of racial division. But if you're into hip hop at all, or the blues, ironically, hip hop and the blues, and then also its connected jazz scene is one of the most diverse, has the most diverse fan population or fan base in any other music. It's amazing how diverse the hip hop clubs are. If you go dancing, or the blues clubs are, you go dancing. Music has a certain way of bringing people together, especially music about difficulty that's meaningful, that's heartfelt. You know, folks want to be touched when they hear some music, right? So I'll give that as an introduction to this story. This book is essentially about the impact of fatherlessness, when fathers leave the household for various reasons. Either they weren't in the household at all from the very beginning, meaning a man got someone pregnant, and before the child came to life, he bounced. It didn't handle his home front responsibilities. Or a case where maybe a mother and father were married, they had kids, and the father, in the post-divorce situation, left and wasn't really in the house very much. Or equally painful for many people is that when the father is in the house, but he's so busy, he's kind of emotionally stunted or emotionally unavailable. So you have this man in the house, you know, doing his man thing, but the kids don't really have access to the man. And so they kind of felt like, gosh, I mean, dad was there, kind of, you know. And so this whole book is really about the impact of fatherlessness, however it manifests in the lives of individuals. So let me just jump into the text. This book begins, I was adopted, and so as an infant. And so I spent my early teens and early 20s trying to kind of track down some knowledge about my kind of biological past. I was adopted into a single mother, single woman head of the household. So there was no biological father, nor was there an adopted father. And so that also plays a role here. All right. So this book begins with me, after years, literally, of trying to find information about my past. I'd finally gotten a letter from the Chicago Department of Records. I was born in Chicago, and it came in the mail one day, and that's how the book begins. And thank you guys again all for listening. I appreciate it. In the beginning, when I pull the letter from the mailbox, my heart starts jackhammering. I return to my second floor Leimert Park apartment, leaping 2 white stairs per stride. Sit down at the heavy wooden desk. Tight fist the letter opener, butcher knife style, to steady my trembling hand. State of Illinois, certificate of live birth. There I am in box 3, child's name, Michael Gerald Cole. I've never seen Cole attached to Michael Gerald before. I stare like it's the first time. Single is marked in box 5A, not twin, triplet, or quad. Years of thinking maybe I was a separated at birth twin ends there in box 5A. Born at 5:49 p.m., the box below, mother's full maiden name, Miriam Cole, age 17, so young I think, just a girl, pregnant at 16, but this really isn't about her. It's about box 7, father's full name, legally withheld. I'm not really sure what I'm expecting to see. I'm hoping for some hint, some clue, eye color, hair color, height, initials, anything. Box 9, his age, unknown. Box 10, his birthplace, blank. Box 11A, his usual occupation, blank. Box 11B, kind of business or industry, blank. The blanks blur together on the page. I don't know who my father is. Don't know one thing about him. This truth seeps through the spaces between my ribcage, straight jackets, my lungs. I am not going to cry this time. I slide out the top drawer of my black metal file cabinet. Under medical, I filed the birth certificate, his punk ass, and all the blank spaces in my life. I slammed the cabinet shut. Thank you. You can clap or snap or just, you know, it's okay. Just gonna have a little interactive time today. It's okay. So loosen up just a little bit, guys. It's okay. All right. You know, a lot of people have to deal with fatherlessness. It's amazing. Well, first, our divorce rate in our country is just about 50%. So a lot of us are from homes where there is a divorce or divorce has happened. And as a result, a lot of people have daddy issues. You know, if you're a guy, you're probably dating women who've got daddy issues, all right? If you're a girl, you're probably dating a guy who has daddy issues. There's a lot of drama as a result. It's funny how, or not so funny, I should say, how our childhood hurts kind of follow us into adulthood. Pretty traumatic, in fact, I know for many of us, and I'm sure some in this very room that we are in. And so this next section is kind of about, you know, the idea that although many black men can come across as very, you know, hardcore and got the scowl on and sagging and rah, you know, DMXing, you know, beneath that kind of scowl is a lot of pain. In fact, I would argue that that scowl is being pushed forward by pain itself. The Spinners. I've been obsessed with being a husband and father since I was 7 years old. Quiet as it's kept, many young black men have the same obsession, picket fence dreams, a played-out metaphor in the white community, but one still secretly riding the bench in black neighborhoods nationwide. When the picket fence motif was in vogue, only a few of us could get into the game. The swelling ranks of those who couldn't, the perpetual second team, were forced to the sidelines, scowling and pretending we didn't even want to play. The bastard children of these second teamers stalk the same sidelines. We rarely sit on the bench. We're too restless. We can't figure out if we want to beg to play picket fence or raise a stiff middle finger. Sometimes we do both, but usually we strike a cool pose, hide Huxtable family dreams in the corner, can't let someone catch us hoping that hard. We know few people believe in us. We struggle to believe in ourselves, so we pose. We have gotten good, we can pose and cry at the same time. No one sees. We can pose and cry out for help. No one hears. We are the urban ventriloquist. Of the 30 families that lived in our East Side Long Beach building in the mid-70s, I never saw a father living in a household. I never even saw one visit. But there were lots of boys in the neighborhood. Ricky, Dante, Pigpen, Kurt Rock. We rarely talked about our missing fathers. Instead, we poured our passion into our skateboards, our marbles, and our mothers. Yet, the unspoken sparkled from our eyes whenever any neighborhood men showed us attention. Once in their gaze, we worked to outperform one another, trying our best to keep the manlight from straying. Watch this, I can do a backflip off the curb. Hey, bet you a quarter I can make a shot from the free throw line. It's likely one of these men laid the seed that sprouted into a backflipper before them. Neighborhood rumors have a way of falling off grown-up kitchen tables and splattering on ghetto playgrounds. We flipped, pop locked, and did the robot for them, but we were knowing. Men weren't to be trusted. Even when our mothers didn't speak these words, their tired lives whispered the message. I knew many of these men had kids. Where were they? Why were they watching me spin instead of their own children? No, these men were not to be trusted. How could I accept their advice when their personal lives screamed, I'm lost too? There was too much fatherhood failure around, and the disease seemed to be contagious given the epidemic in our neighborhood. These men could watch me spin, but I couldn't let one get close enough to breathe on me. Here's the ghetto irony. Many of my generation's young spinners have become the 20 and 30-something men who can't be trusted, making children who will grow up to hate them. Circumstance, suspect choices, and fear have ways of disfiguring urban hopes with surgical precision. A 4-ounce bottle of baby formula becomes much heavier than a 40-ounce bottle of malt liquor. Having 5 women becomes easier than having one. Thank you. Thank you for clapping for me. Good job. Thank you. How you guys doing? You just walked in, so welcome. And welcome, man. Yes, sir. It's cool. We're not gonna sweat you, bro. But you gotta share something. May I have some of your Skittles? I get a Skittle, or you're gonna come in without sharing? May I get a Skittle? Just one? Is that a no? Thank you. I'm Michael. What's happening? What's your name, bro? You can tell me your name. What's your name, man? Okay, it's cool. I got a Skittle. I'm cool. I'm good. Don Miguel, nice to meet you, bro. Thanks for the Skittle. I owe you one. All right. All right. Now, you know, besides fatherhood issues, what's really interesting about just being an adult is trying to meet someone who you can kind of be with or be in love with or be down with. What's so funny about it is that, you know, we all are kind of looking in our own way. You know, some of us are being a little more aggressive. We have the macadocious player-like cats who are on the prowl constantly. You know, the guys who wear the little Axe body spray way too hardcore and go to clubs with their collars popped and chest out with gold medallions from like 75. And then we have those who are a lot more subtle, who do their kind of looking and choosing maybe in Trader Joe's by the brie, you know. Or the vegetarians may go to Ralph's over by the avocados and be like, oh gosh, how do you tell if the avocado is ripe? You know, all right. It's a little vegetarian macadociousness right there if you're a vegetarian. So, what's funny also is that so often, you know, you meet someone and at first it's just fire. It's like, whoa, you know, they see you, you see them, and what you got they like, and vice versa. And it's like, you guys ever like be at a club or in class, probably in class or at church, unfortunately, you know, and you're just doing your thing, and then, you know, you look and then you make eye contact, and it's like, whoa, you guys are, is it only me? You ever like make thank you, right? Someone just will catch your eye, you're like, whoa, I like this right here. This is my type or whatever. And they seem to be, you know, telling you that you're my type. It's like, da, 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 you know. But anyway, so maybe you hook up and it's all good, but then maybe 6 months will pass and you'll be thinking, what am I doing with this fool? You know, you guys ever have that? Yeah. Oh, of course. All right, well, this is the beginning of one of my situations like that. It's called Camille. This is from chapter 3. I stroll into Hollywood's club flame with a slight malt liquor buzz. Slow my roll so my eyes can adjust to the semi-darkness most reggae clubs favor. No air conditioning. I can feel sweat coming of age beneath my back, beneath my armpits. The pungent scent of high-grade marijuana flavors the air like designer musk. Invisible men in corners send snippets of Jamaican patois slicing through the dense wall of bass-heavy dancehall reggae. This island funk is just what I need. It pulsates through my damp chest, lubricating the stiffness that grad school at UCLA engenders. I'm in baggy black jeans and oversized black Levi's shirt and big black stumping boots, feeling strong and sexy. It's August, the last few weeks before the quarter starts. I need to be rubbed on. My night vision kicks in. The club is crowded with an international set from the African diaspora. Nigerians, Ethiopians, and West Indians dominate the long bar. Bright colors abound. Accents and dialects I grew accustomed to on Berkeley's campus converge with the gymnastic ebonics of black LA folk. I'm in my element. Despite the steadily increasing numbers, few people are dancing on the boxing ring-sized floor in the middle of the club. Instead, people are checking people. But just beneath the strobe light, a dark brown sister with her hair pulled back into a ponytail is deep inside the island groove, and from time to time she closes her eyes to get deeper. She's wearing white short shorts and a small bright red blouse knotted above her belly button. She is moving with that slow winding confidence of a woman accustomed to the gaze of men. With only 3 or 4 other couples on the floor, many of the men's casual scanning glances end at her slim waist. After making my way to the bar to grab a beer, I walk over to the dance floor's edge. I want to watch her dance. I can tell she really isn't interested in the brother on the floor with her. Their bodies aren't communicating. They aren't even making eye contact. She's winding in her own world. Well, the sidewinder leaves the boxing ring and returns to 2 friends near the bar. Guinness beer in hand, I step to her. Heavily accented, loud bar chatter camouflages my motive for leaning past her cheek. Just a warm breath from her ear. You're going to hurt someone dancing like that. She says, angling her neck and ear away, eyelids squatting into a defensive stand. As hard as you were looking, seemed like you want to get hurt. Seeing the choosing in progress, her two friends turn away and rest their palms on the bar. Where you from, sister? Dominican Republic, she responds, holding gaze to see if I'm duly impressed, but never good at geography. I don't even know where the Dominican Republic is. You must have gone to school in the States, I say. I'm not hearing an accent. She says, I went to La Chi, then Cal State Dominguez. What did you study, I say? Math, she says, her kumquat lips easing into a sly smile. So don't be saying no shit that don't add up. Her playful eyes sparkle. Is that a little dance you do, kind of a Dominican national dance, I say, winding to a heartfelt version of her hip-heavy groove. She watches me, cards close to vest. I sneak a glance at her bare thighs. Although the upper part of her 5'2" frame is small boned, her legs are long and muscular. A little Dominican, mostly me. I got my own thing. You want to teach that thing to me? If you promise not to sue me when you get hurt, she tosses over her shoulder, leading the way to the ring. She's saucy, book smart too, and a warm, easy smile to boot. My type. And up close and personal, her slow wind is even sexier, and I'm winding too and looking her dead in the eye. She returns my steady stare as our hips just inches apart, synchronized pelvic circles to the island funk. As the dance floor fills, swaying bodies brush and bump us. I leave her eyes, take in her long neck, breast, naked stomach, fixing my stare below her waist. She begins to perform a slow motion pelvic orbit. I bring my hand around the small of her sweaty back, guiding her body into mine. Our hips meet in a nervous kiss. We settle into rhythm. Eye contact resumes. We wind close this way for several songs, saying little but saying a lot. After dancing together much of the night, I ask for her number. Embarrassed, I lean past her cheek. Tell me your name again, sister. Camille. Thank you. Good start, bad ending. Good start, bad ending. Exhibit A. That's my good start. All downhill from there. Indeed. All right, I'll read one more section here. You know, this book is also about redemption, about, you know, even though people have the blues, although if you just walked in, we're talking about the blues today, about overcoming hardship with a little grace, a little finesse. So even though we all have hardship, difficulty, the blues, you know, regardless of what color your skin is, which is why, again, the blues can connect folks across race and class, because hardship, you know, it's not a respecter of persons, as people say. And so one key in life seems to be, is because everyone has problems, that problem management seems to be a good skill to acquire, you guys. A lot of people, when hardship comes, they just fall the hell apart, you know, which I recommend you do not do that, because hardships will not stop coming, you know. So part of success in life has got to be working on problem management, because they are not going to stop coming, trust me. You live long enough, you'll be like, this keeps happening to me. Deal with that one. So, the book's last chapter is a very short chapter. It's called the Dow of Fences. It's kind of about, you know, you just got to keep on living, essentially. So, the seasons have been wronged. July Santa Ana winds railroaded into January, the warm, swaggering air. Saturday night is heated by the bracing force that causes trees to stagger. Leafy bushes gangster lean and stand 8 counts straight again. Pine cones and twigs street race down Degnan. The block is hot. A baritone word presses against room temperature windows, whispers under panes. It's the theme that calls couples from the bedroom to the center of hardwood floors. Many lights are low when the Santa Anas hit town. I grab my keys from the desk, unlock the French doors, and step out into our back balcony. The Santa Anas have left and taken all shades of brown from the LA sky. The sun has nothing to break through but crisp air. It yellow tints the downtown high-rises visible in the distance. The Santa Monica Mountains seem only a long touchdown throw away. Clearly, clarity has a way of making things seem closer possible. I breathe in deeply. I come back inside and dress in a sweatshirt, shorts, and sandals, load my backpack with the Bible, a Quran, and the Metu Netter. On Saturday mornings, AK, D, and Will and I go to the beach to meditate and pray. Sunday mornings, I go alone. I jump in my ride and make the 15-minute trip to Playa del Rey. I park and head for the sand. My body is never prepared for the first glimpse of the Pacific in the morning. Involuntarily, I stop in my sand tracks to take in this beauty. The ocean's clever choreography makes me want to be still. It's high tide. I pull my sandals off and walk until I reach the edge of wet sand, sit down semi-lotus position. Dozens of seagulls swoosh above my head, glide over the water. No one else is out. The ocean is ours. Waves are breaking and hissing into white foam and rushing up the sandy slope, stopping just a few yards from my crossed legs. I open my mouth to sample the cool breeze. I taste the salt of the many spittle-filled prayers I have shouted into this sea. I taste the tears that jump from Nicole's eyes onto my cheek, cutting a trail down into my mouth. A trail my own tears followed. The tears my tongue missed, I caught in my open palm and laid them in the ocean. I taste the salty sweat from spinning hard for would-be fathers, a dervish of wants and need, but no father is coming to show me how. No father is coming. I am done spinning. It is time to be still. I close my mouth, close my eyes. I breathe in deeply. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, guys. I just want to pass these out now. I'll read some poetry next. Come on in. We're just waiting for you. We saved you a seat right here. There's your seat. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just going to pass these around. There's a new international journal, you guys. Anyone writing here? You guys like write? Anyone write? No one in the whole class write? I don't believe that. Thank you. One brave person. Thank you. It's a great international journal. Work from South Africa, from Sri Lanka, all over the world. But it's based here in California. So if you guys are interested in writing or have friends, just pass those around. Take one. Over here, yes, take one. Submit. It's a great journal. In fact, folks are getting published as a result. Last year, one of our authors was offered a book deal. We have a big East Coast party and a big West Coast party when the journals come out each year. And at the East Coast party, it was really for editors and publishers and whatnot, but we have a big reading out there, and one of the authors was so impressive that she was offered a book deal. Her name is Melina Sarah Soval. Her book comes out in 2008. It's called The Secret Life of Boys, so check for that. All right, anyone write poetry in here? Any poets? Thank you. That's one poet, that's it. Anyone like read poetry? Okay. Anyone like write poetry like when no one's looking and tell nobody? A couple, okay, we got a couple poets in here. I'm gonna read some poetry if that's cool. Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, let's keep moving here, you know. C- on paper passing out. C-. Pass back. You got one? Okay, that was my last one. Well, let's give someone who needs one. We'll keep it moving. Yes. If you don't want yours, give it to like a person who would actually use it. You know, don't just block someone else's dream. You know what I'm saying? What the hell. All right, guys. Well, I love poetry. You know, in fact, I began writing because I read this book about Langston Hughes. You guys know that name, Hughes, black poet, great poet, revolutionary in his early days. He's an amazing guy. So there's a great biography by Arnold Rampersad, who was at, I think, Princeton then, which was so just fabulous about the life of the poet, and it was just, and I got so inspired. I was like, wow, I want to do what this cat is doing. You know, I got my little tam, bam, you know what I'm saying? Snap my fingers a little bit. No, these are jokes. These are jokes here. But yeah, poetry's pretty awesome. So let's kick some poetry here. All right. All right, this first poem is, you know, on this theme of skin. In our society, you guys, people are really drawn to beauty. In fact, it's no surprise when you watch the TV news that the person reading the news, if it's a woman, is just super bad. You know, I mean, think of like one ugly newscaster. But real quick, there ain't none. That's why. The dudes are all like GQ, you know, right? This is because people are just drawn to be, and it shouldn't even matter that someone is attractive to read the news. But as you know, look on any TV show besides Ugly Betty, and everyone is all fine, all right? Even America, whatever her name is, Ferrera, is fine to me. So the name is kind of a misnomer for that show. So people are drawn to beauty, but also the irony is that people are drawn to it, but also they want to destroy beauty. It's kind of a weird thing, especially guys. Guys are a little sick at times, you know? They want to have a beautiful woman in their life, and they just break her on down. It's like a weird thing that guys do for some weird reason. Not me, though. That is, because that's not cool, of course. All right, so this piece is about my mother, in fact, kind of a weird poem. My mother, you guys, was married at age like 17 in Alabama, and then moved to Chicago. Her husband was just a crazy dude, you know, hustler type cat, and abusive. So she left his ass, good for her, at around like 21. So she was a young woman, a divorcee, 21 years old, you know, living in Chicago with 2 little baby kids, you know, 2 small children. But, you know, still a young woman. She was like 21. Who's like 21 or younger? Like a lot of us here. You know, she was like your guys' age, right? Around 21, but had been married, divorced, and had 2 little kids. So she was still like fly. I mean, she wasn't going to be at home doing nothing, of course, right? So, although she told us as we became adults, oh, I was always at home praying to Jesus and all this stuff. We're like, So I found a photograph of my mother. My mother, who was like a very Southern woman, very respectable, very like from the, anyone from the South in here? Like from the South? No one's from the South? Wow. Not even, who's ever been like south of the Mason-Dixon line? Anyone? A couple of us. All right. Anyway, the South is a very kind of conservative Bible Belt. People are like very into like putting on a public face, right? Anyway, so my mother, you guys, was so attractive as a young woman that her nickname wasn't like Pookie or, you know, Shaniqua or some name. It was, her nickname was Beautiful. That was my mom's nickname. It was kind of weird. But she was so striking and so just ridiculously fine that everyone called her Beautiful. So when I was a kid, all my cousins, all my cousins would call her Aunt Beaut. And she was known for Beaut, as Beaut for short. And so, in fact, I never heard anyone call her by her name, which was Gladys, until I was an adult. Because everyone called her Aunt Beaut or Sister Beaut or whatever. So anyway, this piece is about her. And it was inspired by a photograph of her around like 21, 22 on a date. And she was at some bar, some dive bar, a little big round table. And she's with this dude, this total, I mean, you shouldn't judge people by appearances, but this dude was looking hella gangster. Let me just tell you right now, right? So she was by this gangster-looking dude in Chicago, looking all cute, doing this, and the camera's facing her. She's doing this. Way out of control. I was like, wow, Mom, it's a little awkward for me to see this picture of you like this. This is, you know, what happened to Jesus? You know what I'm saying? He wasn't in that club for us, to me. Believe that. Anyway, so this is all that preambles about this poem. This is called In This Photograph. All right, right here. For Beaut, my mom. Pabst Blue Ribbon coat sweats next to your hard-boiled beau. You always like them rough. Pretty boys have suspect backbones, striking your praying mantis pose, guillotine French tips clawing a table meant for 2. Eyelids heavy as Nina Simone's diary. The camera's nose is wide open. Even Foxy Brown needs her pistol kissed. Mama got a Jones. You are Beaut, not Miss Belcher or Mrs. Datcher or Mrs. Steen, shedding surnames men have carved on a litany of licenses. God, unless beautiful icons are known by just one name, Beaut. Thank you. For my mother. Thank you. All right, let me tell you the story. So, all right, so 911 happened, bam, you couldn't fly, but on 912 and 913, a series of planes began picking up members of the bin Laden family, you guys, all over the New York Times, all over the Washington Post, and they escorted them out of D.C. back to wherever they were from, you know, Saudi Arabia or different countries around the globe, right? 24 people, that's insane, right? And so at the time, George Bush he was like, you know, I didn't know about it. I didn't know how they got there. I didn't know. You know, and I was like, huh, if no one can fly and the bin Ladens can fly, what's really going on? You know, I know a few police officers, right? And so when there's a crime, what they always do when there's a crime, you guys, so say one of you guys, you know what I'm saying, one of you guys tries to jack me, but I'm way too slick for that, so I stop you, right? And there's a whole jacking circle happening. If you're a part of this guy's family, what's going to happen is that they want to talk to your family. Anyone who knows the suspect, their family becomes not a suspect, but someone you want to talk to about the person's past. You know, they'll say, you know what, I like to talk to you, you know. But definitely, if there's a major attack like a 911 attack on a bin Laden level, and the people who do the attacking have family in the U.S., they definitely will be talked to, trust me, unless for some reason you're a bin Laden. So this piece is about all that. So it's called, so on that particular plane were two cats. One, believe it or not, two of the guys were bin Laden's half-brothers. You guys know, ever heard of bin Laden, the guy who called for the country to be attacked? You know that guy, bin Laden? All right. Huh? Yeah, thank you. He's an Al-Qaeda leader, right? All right, well, he has two half-brothers. One's name is Omar and one's name is Abdullah, all right? One of those guys was on the terrorist list as well. So you make the call. This piece is called Omar and Abdullah bin Laden Fly Business Class Courtesy of the West Wing. Goes like this. Osama's baby brothers escorted out of D.C. while the bones are still indicting like a World Trade widow's Watergate questions. Like Agnew, Bush knew. His father's hunting buddy is Saudi Prince Bandar. Dad slides his Oleander tongue through the rear door of the house of Saud, straight into the ears of billionaire bin Ladens. The Carlyle Group smiles. Cash changes hands. Lone Star politics make him loyal to the enemy's family, like Agnew, Bush knew. He deflowers the poor and claims to be monogamous. So deep in Saudi Arabia, the Mujahideen call him Uncle John Holmes. Breaking bread to make bread, unholy Eucharist, blood in the yeast, and the beast says he knows Jesus. It's for George Bush. All right. This next piece is about just, you know, neighborhood stuff. You know, poets will oftentimes document what's in their environment. So I just moved a while ago, but in my old crib, we had a really interesting, you know, little crib. And we had some oleander in our front yard. You know, oleander is poison. You know oleander? Okay. White, beautiful flower, but don't put it in the water and drink milk. So, or drink the water. May kill ya. Let's go outside my office window. Oleander guards the border of my front yard. Torture shrouded in lying white petals. A brown telephone pole attached to wires leans east like an Abu Ghraib Shiite forced to stand for hours while her eyelids drop into salat. Outside my office window, an apartment building slouches, yellow paint thin as third-grade watercolors, but dingier and fading faster than the conscience of a T-cell deprived down-low brother. A troop of security guards, a troop of black security bars holding off a regiment of black security guards who protect Brentwood by day and rob their midnight neighbors. Outside my office window is a West Indian grandma hydrating her garden. Leafy collard greens protected by an octopus cactus just waiting to stick a soul food junkie on a jack move. My neighbors, thank you. I'm getting lots of claps today. Good. All right. Also, a piece kind of inspired by 911. You know, following 911, as you guys may recall, people started just breaking their flags the hell out. You would see flags on like tricycles, bicycles, backs of cars, trucks, everywhere, right? So in my old neighborhood, you saw a lot of gangsters, right? Literally, like Crips primarily, with flags on the back of their Chevys. This is a true story. Or flag, they have like a blue flag here, and over here it'd be like an American flag. Bam! And so one day I was like, bro, what's up with the flag wearing here? What's the deal with the flag? He says, man, well, when I'm in my Chevy, with my flag flying, the cops don't stop me as much. I thought that has got to be a damn poem. So here it is. It's called Stitches, as in, you know, sewing. Old Glory draped over Jerry curls, afros, Quo Vadis, and fades. Betsy Ross specials folded and creased, drooping from crypt back pockets. Stars and stripes brassieres propping up breasts that once sagged into the salacious mouth of Master Letlow and his children. Nigga patriots. The ultimate ghetto oxymoron, exploited capital, championing capitalist exploitation. You were slaves. You were slaves. The red stripes are color copies from your forebears' backs. How you love the stitches in the boot on your ancestors' necks. Thank you very much. Indeed. Righty. This next piece, again, on this whole theme of skin, you know, right now, if you are a Muslim or you're an Arab person or a person from that part of the Middle East, you know, you are treated the way black people are treated oftentimes, you know, treated to profiling. You go into a store, or, you know, you hang out, or you may find someone giving you a hard time if you're a Muslim person or an Arab person or whatever. So for a lot of black people, they really, really feel the pain of Arab people. So this piece is kind of inspired by that particular reality of how so many people are judging or prejudging folks who are Muslim and from that part of the particular world. So I think it's also important, you guys, to try to imagine what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. As you may know, that there's, of course, a decades-long, really a 1,000-year-long, seems like 100-year-long war between the Palestinians and the Israelis in that part of the world. And because, you know, Israel is a friend of the U.S., one of our major allies in that part of the country, we give them $4 billion a year. So they fly F-16 jets, use our guns, and they're fighting against the Palestinians who don't really have the same wherewithal to fight back with a gun or a big-ass flying F-16, but they do have themselves. So what they do is they use their bodies as human bombs, you know. And so in the West, we look at that as, oh, they're terrorists, oh, that's crazy. But if that's all you got, to me, that's an amazing amount of courage. You know, when you're getting oppressed, when you say, you know what, I'd rather die than let you just take my stuff. I'm not, no. So, you know, it kind of depends on your position, whether if a person is a terrorist or someone is a patriot. So I think it's important to kind of know that, and at times when you can, try to place yourself in someone else's shoes. So this piece is kind of inspired by all that stuff. This is called Implosions. I blow myself up on you because I want you to understand what occupation does to hemoglobin, transforms it to hemlock, unwinds its DNA double helix into the shape of my only son's perfectly round mouth stuck in a pose of terror, watching his father's dignity implode. Have you ever seen a man collapse into himself? The eyes fall first, cascading beneath his epidermis, past his cheek and chin into his throat. When he realizes he is unable to protect his family or feed them or speak, words are meaningless. When your eyes are lodged in your esophagus, action becomes your native tongue. Next, the left ventricle attacks the right internal fratricide, the purest form of self-hatred. Finally, the large intestine divides and tightens into 4,000,007 military square knots, each one the size of a hand grenade. I am a walking bomb. No need for dynamite. I just meditate real hard on my history since I met you. Concentrate on being uprooted from my father's farm and squeeze into the West Bank. Recall how you claimed mine as yours and called me a terrorist when I fought to get mine back. Give me liberty or join me in death. I blow myself up on you. Palestine. All right. You know, this next piece is about that thing that happens for all of us when you are confronting, you know, a tough situation. You know, for guys especially, guys like to brag about how tough they are and all this stuff. Oh, I'm so hardcore. Are you guys into UFC, into the whole cage grappling stuff? You guys are into that? What do you guys do when you're in college? You don't watch grappling on TV? Spike TV is for free, no? Thank you. I love that stuff. It's incredible. You know, it's like hardcore. Anyway, so I love those guys. Those guys are very courageous. I'm really drawn to that whole, I think it's pretty cool. All right, so, but in real life, outside the cage, it's a lot more difficult to, to kind of come through under pressure. So that's kind of what this piece is about. This is called slide rules. And if you're a little bit older, you know what a slide rule is. It's kind of a numbering device to calculate numbers back in the day. And it's subtitled Calculations. Slide rule calculations. All right, the distance between what you say and what you do is conviction divided by fear. Once again, the distance between what you say and what you do is conviction divided by fear. Difficult decisions can't be counted on in the crucible of real risk. Ask Judas. Actions betray vows like disciples short on silver coins and easy choices. We should measure a man by the length of his steps, his direction on the high wire matrixed above what he dreads most. Heroes and cowards can be plotted on a grid, the same straight line. The same straight line connecting their coordinates is what the valiant slides down when he falls. Thank you. That's called slide rule. Indeed. 2 poems to go here. This piece also is inspired by 911, kind of in a way. The folks who has friends or family who are in Iraq right now or in the military. Raise your hand. Anyone have any? Look around. It's a lot of black and brown people in Iraq, you guys. First to go, last to leave if they're a Marine, all right? I was flying somewhere one day, and this young Latino cat, this was back in the day, this is like post-911, and I was like, how old are you, man? This guy was 19. I was like, oh, my God, So we just talked and really just had a really emotional time. I was like, gosh, you're 19. That's amazing, bro. So we were rapping, and we prayed. It was all dramatic on the plane. It was like a movie. We were all like, help him. It was all, but he was 19, and I don't know. I mean, that guy always crosses my mind. I didn't know him, of course, but I wondered how he's doing. So, and let me just, as an aside, let me say, I'm no pacifist. I'm just about, let's have a little justice and fair play. Our country was not attacked by Iraq. It wasn't. It was attacked by Saudi Arabia. Of the 19 bombers, 15 were Saudi nationals. I mean, not one was an Iraqi, so I just want to say that, just because you don't read the paper, know that stuff. I don't know if you guys even know that. Right? We were attacked by Saudi Arabia. Again, 15 of the 19 people who bombed that plane, they were from Saudi Arabia. None were Iraqis. All right? We invaded that country because George Bush knew they had probably a lot of oil. But that's just my opinion. But it is important to know that we were not attacked by them. That was kind of if you want to know the truth about that, just a little heads up there. Something's got to be going on. Yeah. Could you even imagine if the 19 folks who bombed us on 911 were like from Uganda? They'd have bombed the hell out of Uganda, It'd be like, pow! All right, so this piece is called The Coat of Bellicose Scriptures, and it's subtitled, Don't Shoot Until You See the Greenback. Agent E Pluribus Unum behind enemy lines. Code name Talk Dirty Daddy, receiving encoded communiques from the Carlisle Group. Fatherly advice. It's always the same message. Protect the dollar that it may be fruitful and multiply. It's always the same message. Protect the dollar that it may be fruitful and multiply. War profits. War profits, an expensive oxymoron with a ruthless refund policy. You can't return a broken Marine without the box. Thank you. All right, thank you. Here's the last poem. I'm a big fan of all the arts, but especially like paintings. I mean, I love painters. And my favorite painter probably is a guy named Fedor Jericho. He's a really famous French painter from the 1800s. This piece is inspired by a really famous painting in the Getty Museum. Have you guys ever seen the Getty Museum? You ever visit the Getty? Okay, you guys have. Great museum, by the way. I like the Getty. Well, the Getty's vast holdings, they only have one picture of a black guy in the whole holding, which is pretty bad. So it's a picture of this guy who's a real person. It's a portrait study of this guy who was a famous artist model in Paris back in the day. He was a dark-skinned black guy from Santo Domingo, which is like modern day kind of like Haiti, basically. This dude had been a part of a really famous Jericho painting called The Raft of the Medusa. He was like one of the guys featured. But he had been a kind of a circus performer in the human circus in Paris back in the day. And I was trying to imagine what life was like, always being the artist's model. Meaning someone comes and interprets your life. It kind of reminded me of watching the news. If you watch the news, this guy is talking, reading the news. Say if it's a guy up here, and there's a screen to my right, and this person is telling this guy's story. Today, a black man robbed 8 people. This guy's like this. It wasn't me, you know. If someone's telling your story, you're in a lot of trouble. Let me just tell you that right quick. All right, tell your own story. So this is my last poem. Thank you guys for listening. This is the last thing I'm going to be reading. And so thanks again for listening. This is called Joseph. The guy's name is Joseph. Joseph speaks to Jericho in the studio after Fedor Jericho's portrait study, which is what it's called. I searched the length of your eyes to find how you judge me. Crucified upside down on your iris, inverted hologram captured in your acrylic embrace. This is how you like me, still as the hangman's poplar tree when the kicking has ceased. Silent, a mute victim of French imagination, I make the fatal segue from subject to object. You know me not. I am more than Santo Domingo mythology's exoticized in oil. The things you sketch into my eyes bequeath the borrowed blues of others, their minor chord pupils. My sockets are pallbearers welling eulogies for the dead dreams they carry. Someone else's pain is buried in the sarcophagus of my face, the life sentence of salon sight, penalty served in number of hard stares. A man is not meant to have such a close reading of his face. But under the festering gaze of museum patrons, I become an abject thermometer, mercury as curiosity, peppery skin tingling, nostrils raw. Scalding is my name, scalding is my name. You wear my eyes and see if you can bear the heat of revulsion in the casual glance of pedestrians, the heat of terror in a child's shudder at your smile, the gravity of not being able to find beauty in a mirror. No, you can't touch my hair. Its natty roots will not lead you to the primitive innocence you assume I possess. You cannot access your past through me, only your uncouth shame. I am steps removed from being a friend. You paint my naked body, Jericho, but I know none of your secrets. Fabricated amnesia, France is not forgotten storming the Bastille, declaring the rights of man. She has forgotten that nappy heads hold souls that pine for justice too. Beloved homeland, Hispaniola, colonial whore, bed warmer for the city of lights. You ravish our sugarcane, tobacco leaves, and young girls, make them come in the name of Napoleon. I can still hear the sweet resistance of their guilty moans. I seek retribution in the wombs of French women, burn inside their solvent fascination. An acrobat's torment cannot be captured in watercolors. It leaks out the frame into a ring of fire. The viscous twist of his life require a medium with more texture, something you can rub between your fingers, squeeze into your mouth. What is the degree of difficulty to double somersault a soul inside out? The pernicious whispers I have heard meditating on museum walls could shake a nun's faith. Niggas hang in the permanent collection because we have practiced on tree limbs. A sacred text rescued me from the raft of the Medusa. The holy book of strategies for surviving oil-based quicksand can be found on the papyrus of Osiris. I read it by candlelight. It recites itself as I sit still for a living. A man should narrate his own psalm. That way nothing gets lost in the translation between self and easel. I sell my soul, my body, I cannot get them back. They are dried on the edges of brushes. Joseph is my name. I am a man, no matter how much oil you spill into my eyes. Thank you very much for listening, guys. I was talking just about how when our fathers aren't in the home via divorce or the dad was never in the house, how that really affects people who become adults. And that particular childhood pain follows us into our adult relationships. Well, for example, when this book came out, I did this big tour, right, all over the country. We had some post kind of reading Oprah-like little sessions and whatnot, and people would talk about, gosh, you know, I was also fatherless. And when the women talk, they almost always said the following thing. They say, you know, gosh, my dad wasn't there, so I found myself looking for dudes to kind of affirm me. And when men see a woman who's quote unquote needy, they tag that as a weakness. And they just go after her and exploit her and, you know, do her wrong. And then she gets pregnant eventually, and bam, and here she is, you know, a single mother in the same cycle. So for example, that came up a lot in our discussions about how women especially are like, gosh, I'm attracting the same kind of cat every time. You know, every time. What is, I got a big thing on my head? You know, exploit me.
When you're reading from the first book, you're reading like it was hip-hop. Are you thinking that? Because I imagine on the page it's prose, but you're reading it more like poetry.
Well, that book, again, was totally, for that book, I listened to Miles Davis's album. I looped it, basically. And so I listened to it every single day for like, literally, 5 years this book took to write. So I was trying to kind of get in that, you know, that cool Miles Davis thing. I wanted the book to also kind of sound like music because I was so into Miles Davis, still am into Miles Davis, but I just love that whole kind of blue because it was just set you like in a mood. I wanted the book to have a certain kind of a, you know, just a mood, a vibe. Although I love hip hop, I'm also a huge jazz fan. And I wanted the music to kind of, in a subconscious way, kind of come across as I was trying to choose certain words and how to construct sentences and make long ones and short ones and do all that stuff. So, yeah, so I was trying to make it really sound like that album, honestly.
As a kind of improv feel.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea, you know, to try to, you know, make it have that balance of, you know, yeah, improv, I think is a good way to think about it, yeah. It's a good question. Yes, ma'am.
So do you, I guess metaphorically, really like this, you, your father, do you consider yourself a fatherless boy? And if you do, with society the way it is, and many of us, well, my mother, raising a black male, how do you see present society helping the fatherless boy?
That's a great question. Well, I mean, what needs to happen, first of all, let me just tell you, I mean, thank God for women. How about a hand for the women in the class? Give it up, come on you guys, let's be real. How about a hand for the women? Clap for yourselves, women. Thank God for the women, first of all. I mean, what if the women were doing what the dudes are doing? You know, making babies and straight bouncing. Thank God you guys are like, you know what, hell or high water, this is my baby, I'm gonna take care of my child. I mean, thank God for the women raising, like yourself, you know, raising children when the fathers have completely bounced the hell out. That's crazy. You make a child and don't take care, that's insane, you know? The men have got to just grow the hell up, you know? There's an old saying that, that mothers raise their daughters and spoil their sons, and it is damn true. You know, you find so many women who are more mature, you know, but when they were children, you know, the mother would be like, all right, baby, help me cook and clean. Oh, Billy, go outside and play, you know, and Billy's ass is still playing, all right, trying to be a player now, you know. The issue is that the dudes have got to just grow the hell up and think about the, pardon me, am I cursing in class? About the damn darn, the impact of this phenomenon on our kids. And so, men have got to say, just as a group, you know, not on my watch. If I make a baby, I'm taking care of my kid. Because I've already been messed up by not having a father. I'm gonna take care of my kid. And that's the answer. Just dudes saying, you know what, because it's only a choice. You know, a lot of times guys don't want to have to get a job. They want to be fly and you know, sell drugs or find a way to make more money than they would make legally. But at a certain point, that's okay. I mean, that's your thing, whatever. But when you got kids, no. Because a kid cannot take care of himself or herself. A man, the guys who claim to be so hard, you know what's hard? It's getting a job and taking care of your baby. You want to be hard? Try that for a while. You know, you want to be hard? Tell the truth. Because the truth is hard to tell. You know, and part of it is trying to deconstruct and change our idea of what it means to be tough or hard. Because so many guys are into being tough or macho. We love football, we like sports, and like the whole martial art, the grappling, you know, and that's tough for guys. But part of our job has got to be to kind of reconfigure what it means to be tough. You want to be tough, take care of your kids. You know, that's tough. I get a clap for that. Wow, it's the truth. It's the truth, you guys. Take care of your babies, of course. Come on. That's common sense. That's just like, come on. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Robin. Did you ever look up your mom? Or
well, I tried. You know, in fact, she was actually my birth mother's friend's daughter. So I actually kind of knew her a little bit. I went to go visit them for like a summer one time, but it was so just crazy. So after that summer, they tried to get me to stay with them actually and not go back home. They were gonna like do something not shady, but pretty shady. Because I was so young, they tried to convince me to stay, in fact. But I was like, y'all ain't my family. I'm out. And you know, I was like, I'm out of here. So yeah, but it was real weird and terribly awkward and just fraught with just drama. It was just terrible, actually. I mean, kind of in a way, they have like money, so it was kind of cool because they had a big old house and it was like kind of cool in that way. But we were very poor, but they were kind of fly and doing well, you know, in Chicago. But you know, it was weird and awkward and painful and distressing. All right, thank you guys once again for listening. I appreciate you guys for representing.